Back with another haircut tutorial. Now this haircut tutorial is going to be a self-cut. I am going to be using a Amazon pair of clippers called Limeral Clipper. I'm gonna actually give you my actual perspective, what I really think about it. New pair of clipper or whatever. I like to actually cut my own hair, bro. I actually like to cut my own hair and test it on myself before I even use it on my customers. You know, I don't know, I'm just OCD, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Haircut in 2 weeks. My hair is pretty long. And I'm actually going to give you the secret ingredient, the one that people always ask me, yo Rudy, what type of product do you use? Because your hair is not shiny, but it's also looking fresh. And I'm actually going to give you that product at the end of the video, so stay tuned. So when I first saw these clippers, I was like, man, the style looks pretty dope, you know what I mean? But then once I started actually when I grabbed the clipper, I was like, damn, this clip is pretty heavy for a metal type of clipper. But once I turned it on, the power was not there. You know what I mean? So when I first turned it on, how heavy it is and everything, I expected the clipper to be pretty powerful if it's gonna be pretty heavy. But by all means, it was not at all. It didn't feel powerful. And especially for the trimmers, once I turned it on, I was like, what is this? I'm gonna use the cape that it came with. And just by touching and feeling it, man, you can tell that the quality's not there. So alright, so what I'm first gonna start cutting is actually the top, because the top's pretty long and it's pretty dog annoying. It keeps rubbing up on my eyes every time I sweat and do certain things, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna start with the top. What I do is grab here the comb, right? So you're gonna grab the comb, you're gonna put one down. You're gonna put one down. Once you put one down, you go towards the direction you want, and then with the other one right here, you're gonna push down. Whatever you pull down, that's your section. Cut a pretty good amount. I'm getting really tired of this long hair, so I'm gonna cut it around this much. Finish cutting that first section, what you want to do is go about another inch back, and then from there then you grab your another section. Go right there, pull down, and then all the hairs pull towards you, and the other hairs from the other section pull it towards back. This is by far the easiest way you can do it when you're cutting your own hair, especially on the top with scissors. This actually works for me, and if it doesn't work for you, then you can try to go get from other sections. Down, and I'll go from there. And that's my other section right there. Now from there, I'm gonna grab the front hair that I cut and try to match it with the back. So that all of that is what I'm gonna cut. So usually, you know, cutting the top of the hair is pretty easy. You know, it just sometimes, obviously, if you want like a pompadour style and all of that good stuff, then yeah, you know, that's gonna be a little bit tough. Everything can be easier. It's just more sections, and then your shoulders. That's gonna really gonna take some damage, because that was really hurts actually. You know what I mean? But right here, I'm just, you know, texturing, doing some
crazy texturing. I like my haircuts usually, especially the top of my hair, usually messy, kind of like a crop top without looking like a crop top type of look. That's usually my style. But now I'm gonna using the trimmers, and I'm gonna do my first guideline, my first ball line, and my first ball line is gonna be a around mid drop fade, not too compressed but somewhat compressed. You know what I mean? Not too high. And you know, these trimmers felt heavy and they felt weak and they sounded weak. But once they started cutting through my hair, I was kind of pretty impressed. You know what I mean? I was actually like, whoa, okay, these trimmers, they got some type of power. They just don't sound like it, and they don't look like it. So by all means, I was just still trying to see what's up. And these trimmers, they were actually pretty cutting through. I was actually going pretty slow because I was kind of scared that the trimmer would like sometimes bite my not bite, I guess say pull my hair, especially with some trimmers that are not really pretty strong for overall, you know, haircuts and stuff like that. And especially around the ear, I would sure recommend you go slow. Especially like right here, I'm going slow. Especially around the ear, I used to go always too high, and now can never bring it down. You know what I mean? So now, obviously, the package didn't come with some shavers, so I'm using the shavers that I have. But I'm gonna leave in the link of description for the Andy's Foil shavers. It's $50. It's like a little bit more affordable because the ones that I was using just right now, those are babblers. Those are $100. Those are too expensive for me, especially if you're just gonna cut your own hair. I don't think you should need all of that. You should just probably stick with the basics. So now, since I felt like I left a little slight line, I came back with my trimmers, and I went with against the grain, you know, and just try to make it extra, try to be secure that I'm actually shaping or blending on the line. So my first guideline, I am going to be using the clipper. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty excited using these clippers. I was like, you know, I wanted to see what's the real deal, you know. And what I did notice on the blade, I didn't want to do it. I wanted to use the same blade for this, you know, for this specific tutorial. But this blade actually, I believe that it fits the same wall clipper blade, wall senior blade. You know what I mean? I feel like it actually does fit. So I probably would be keeping these clippers, probably switch the blade out. You know what I mean? The blade's pretty good, but obviously if I'm gonna be doing multiple haircuts, it has to be more durable. So I was actually pretty impressed how it wasn't really pulling my hair. I was really expecting for it to pull my hair, but I thought it was pretty dope that when it tells you how much battery you have and what's the charging. I thought that was pretty cool. So now we're gonna go doing the second guideline, which is the number 1 guard with the lever all the way open. I'm not gonna be touching the lever. That's another big thing that I did not like whatsoever about this clipper was the lever. As soon as I got it off the box, that lever was stiff. It was hard. I was like, man, this ain't normal. This is too hard. And once I loosened up. Every time I pressed a little bit of power, you know, towards against the grain, it will go back to close. And I was like, okay, that's a big no-no. You know what I mean? So I just left it stiff like that. You know, I screw it back up to a little bit harder on the harder side, and I just left it like that. But that lever is pretty intense. It's you gotta really actually move it. Well, I was actually moving it with my 2 fingers, you know what I mean? So now with the third guideline, we're gonna be using the 2 guard open. Now right here, you're gonna see me struggling a little bit. I was trying to avoid to debulk, you know what I mean? I was just trying to blend in without trying to do the extra step of debulking. But at the end of the day, you're gonna see me debulking because I couldn't. So right now I have the 2 guard, trying to make another guideline, you know, about 1 inch, but my hair was just not cooperating.
Alright, real quick. So whenever I'm doing a guideline, I'm basically always looking at wherever the guideline at. For example, since I already did before, let's imagine I had the number 3 guard, and you see this bulk right here. So what I'm actually looking at is actually the bulk. right here. So when I flick out, everything that I flicked out with my wrist, that's gonna make another guideline. But I'm always focused on the bottom. That way when I get lost, I know where to start. Because you always start from the bottom.
So now I'm still using my 2-guard, you know what I mean? And right here, like I said before, I'm just focusing on the bottom. I feel like that's a pretty big tip, especially once you're cutting your own hair. You tend to get lost and sometimes you don't know what you're looking at. That was me all the time. I was like, what exactly am I looking at? I really don't know. And you always look at the lines. So you don't look at the line that you did before, you look at the line you left before. I feel that's a pretty big tip. As you can see right there, I have 3 guidelines. And right there, you can see I was struggling. I couldn't see the line because there was too much bulk, too much hair overlaying. So what you're gonna see me doing right now is I'll slap in the 5-guard. And by all means, I'm using the guards that are from the box. From this box, they came with 1 through 6 from the guards, and I'm just using those guards. So so people can actually say that okay, I can actually feel comfortable to use those guards. So I'm using the 5-guard and going all the way up. I'm just straight debulking. And I was actually pretty excited about this too, because I wanted to see how much, it would pull my hair if I'm just debulking, you know what I mean? And right here I'm debulking, and no, it's going pretty smooth. So I was pretty impressed with the clippers that I was, debulking, and it was cutting through. As you see, I was smiling right there. I was pretty excited. I was like, it actually does work. So as you can see right here, I'm going straight up behind, straight up towards the head shape that I have. Now I know on the peak, you know what I mean, by the triangle and stuff like that, about the crown, you know what I'm saying, where the cowlicks at. I know that's the area that tends to round out. So what you're gonna be seeing me doing is doing like a raking method. So basically, the raking method is I have the tips of the guard, and I just go in, just making like circle motions. Not circle motions. I want to say like going through motions, just like that, like I'm doing right now. But I'm only using the tips of the guard. So basically, I let the guard just pick whatever hair they has, and from whatever it has, it's just cutting through. I'm not digging in. I just let the guard pick the hair out, and that hair is the one that cuts. So now that everything's debulked, now I feel more comfortable, and actually I can see my guidelines. So what I'm gonna do is I got the number 4 guard, and that's it, that big old line that I left. That's when I come back, and from below the 3 guard, I go up to the 3 guard with the number 4 guard, and that'll be blending right in. So right here is I got my 1.5 guard, and I am tacking the line between the 1 and the 2. So it's gonna be the line below the 2. So the guideline that you left on with the 2 guard open, at the bottom you left the line, and that bottom line you're gonna attack it with the 1.5 guard all the way open. And that's gonna be with I am using the wall guards for the half guard and the 1.5 guard. I would just say buy it. I've tried cutting my hair without it. It's a pain in the butt. You know what I'm saying? It's like $4. Just go ahead and do the worth the investment, and just go ahead and go from there. Now I'm attacking this line that I just showed with the half guard all the way open, and I'm just going about half an inch. So basically, this is what the part that people tends to get confused. So since we did the guidelines for the 1 guard open with the 2 guard open, those guidelines are just guidelines. You know what I mean? They're not to blend in. They're only to guide you. You know what I mean? They're only meant to guide your path, not to be the path. So what that means is, so with the half guard, you're gonna go all the way up that you went with the 1 guard. The only difference is you're using the corners, and now you're actually blending in. And now since that's a guideline, now you know how high you're gonna go how high up. But instead of messing up, since you had the 1 guard, that was basically testing the waters. You know what I mean? Now, Once you have the half guard, you're gonna leave a slight line, and that slight line, you're gonna attack it with the one guard open. These steps are pretty easy. You don't have to change the lever like typical most barbers do. That's when you get most confused and everybody gets confused.
If you can't see a line and you think it's faded, but you feel like it's really not, what you can do, and that always works, and I always do it on all my customers, I step back from the fade like an exaggerated amount, like 2 to 3 feet back. And then once I look back, then that line is gonna stand out, whatever you're missing. So if I stand back right there, boom, I can already see the big old line right there that I have. I don't even have to try. It just automatically pops out. So if you can't see it, go ahead and do that.
Half guard, we're just gonna keep blending in right there, just blending in. I mean, with the half guard, with the one guard, we're just gonna keep blending in. And now this step, you don't want to go too high. So this step is the same question they're gonna ask: how high do I go? You don't ever pass the 2. Don't ever pass the 2. That 2 guard, that's your passing point. You don't want to pass through that point. And with the half guard, the exact same thing. You don't want to pass the 1 guard point. You know, you got to make sure you're within the guidelines. Now, to attack the last line is close, halfway, and then open. Now, I always preach that this line is the easiest line. In this case, I'm gonna blame the clippers, because this clipper made me do a little bit of a work. So right here, you're gonna be making me see. I was trying to fade the guideline, and I was double checking. I was like, why is it not working? And I was just like, what's going on? And then I realized, I was like, oh, I took it off the box. I've never really zero gapped it. So that's when I started noticing. I was just like, okay, I don't think I can actually fade with it. And I actually could. You're gonna see me on the video that I'm gonna just come back with the trimmers, and then I'm gonna try to attack it with the line. Right there, as you see, it's like boom. Like, wait, what's going on? And I was like, no. So I had to come back with the trimmers and try to erase it. You see, he was like, man. Now right here, I came back with the trimmers. Now, the problem was that I actually left another line as well. Then I came back with the clippers and then try to blend it in. Now, that actually did work. I used to do that all the time when I was first starting to cut hair. But I was that's too much steps, you know what I mean? So, what I did during the video, I actually zero gapped it afterwards. After this incident, I zero gapped it, and then it made it more actually easier to fade. But this is proof that actually, if your clippers, if you don't feel comfortable, zero gapping your clippers, you don't have to. I didn't have these clippers at the time zero gapped, and then I used my trimmers and I actually blended right in. It takes more time, but everything is possible if you just know your systems. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody preached before. We can teach you to cut hair, but when it's time to cut somebody's hair, it's a different ball game. Like Mike Tyson said, everything you have a plan. Once you get in the ring, you get punched. Sometimes you have to change your plans, and it's the exact same thing. You know what I mean? So now I'm actually doing detail work. So now, since I had detail work, I like to use the corners a lot, and I like to start using with my half guard. And remember, I don't ever pass above the 2. Above the 2 guard, I don't ever pass that. If I pass that, I actually passing it with probably with the 2 guard or with the 1.5 guard. But that's if I feel like it's too much bulk. And like I said before, I kind of like the weight line, but not too much of a weight line. You know what I mean? I like the weight line because that's when the darkness comes out, and that's actually just my style. I used to, like right there, that was too much of a weight line for me. When I was looking straight up in the mirror, for some reason the hairs would like stick out, and on my other side it would be nice and boxy and blended. So I was like, okay. So what I did is I grabbed the number 3 guard and went straight up from there. And actually that didn't work, you know. Then when I'm cutting other people's hair, I usually do that all the time and it works. But for this incident it didn't. So what I did is I grabbed the number 2 guard and then it blended right in. Now this is the part that always tends to be the hardest part for me, especially, is my edge up. My edge up naturally goes like an angle like I just showed, and I basically have to create it. I have to create a line, you know what I mean? I have to actually create it. So I usually start from the front of my peak, you know, from the middle, and I go towards the right side, toward the right or left side, depending on the mood, I guess. And as you can see on the first try, I did not get it down. That was pretty terrible. It was pretty bad, you know what I mean? But it's like I said, I like to treat this like a guideline, you know. You're not gonna, or at least personally, I haven't ever gotten the first crisp edge up and the first get go, you know what I mean? So just make sure when you're doing your edge up, just take your time. You don't want to push it back. I have pushed my edge up back and it's horrible. Worst feeling ever. Now this is the secret. The Billy Jealousy. I'm not sponsored by these dudes, man. But I'm still giving you the sauce. This is considered matte cream.
That's the end of this haircut tutorial. Man, it's easy. It really is easy. It's really not that hard. I kind of regret cutting the top. Now I cut a little bit too much. It just takes patience. Just keep pushing. Don't be like me when I first started cutting my hair. Man, I grabbed that clipper so hard and I slammed it on the floor. And at the end of the day, I had to buy a new clipper. So I basically paid double. Oh my God. It takes patience. On some hair textures, it might be a little bit harder. Some hair textures might be easier. My hair texture, it kind of is easy and it's also hard. Hard because I have a lot of patches. I'm at the age, I'm kind of receding on one side and then I'm like losing hair on one side. But it's also so dark, my hair, that if I leave a line, you can actually see it. You can actually notice if I do. But by all means, I'll leave all the tools that I bought or the link in the descriptions. My name is Rudy A. Blends.